Hi, thanks for joining me again, and today we're going to see the start of another piece of track going in. This will be the second track that will come around parallel to the main line there, and then we'll come in behind what will be second and third platform through there. So that's today's task. Let's get on and do some work. Coming out from the fiddle yard, I'm just making sure I've got more than enough clearance between the two up and down running lines, using the pico gauge. The two track pieces at the bottom are for a streamline track, the two at the top are for a set track, which is wider apart. But here I've gone just over the normal gap so that I can make sure that I've got more than the standard clearance. This is in the fiddle yard anyway, so it's not going to show. And then as I come round here, this is roughly where the tunnel mouth is going to go before we sort of come out to the platform. Then I shall gap it correctly there, and then coming around to the platform it will stay the correct gap until I get to around about here somewhere. And then I'm going to open the gap out a little bit again and check with stock to make sure that on the curve I've got enough clearance, and make sure that we're right. This gauge is ever so useful because this bottom one here, you've also got the platform edging part there, so you can put it against there to make sure you've got the correct clearance for the platforms. And I've got another little one that I've cut off because you've got this extra piece on this side, so you can't put it between two platforms because this piece at this end's in the way. So I've got another piece that I can turn around and use that. So and I've got another one as well that's just cut off across there. So the next job now, as I say, is that we're going to make sure we've got the clearance, work out roughly where the cork's going to go here, and then lay this inner track. Don't forget, once you've trimmed a piece off the end of the track as well, just take a file, clean off the underneath to make sure there's no burrs, and I always just take a little file just to the top there as well. It just makes it easier to get the fish plates on that way, and then you can get the track back into position. Okay, so platform 2. If you remember, I said that when I cut the original platform, this other piece of board would be ideal for platform 2. So I'll put it in place now. This track, I'm using wooden sleeper for this line because I wanted something different, and also it just gives a bit of variety to the layout. Makes it look like the outer line's been relayed with concrete sleeper. So anyway, that's beside the by. So using a cut-off measuring device from Pico, I've got my correct gap there at the end of the platform, and as it comes through, what will happen, this board will actually move away to the correct position. But if I come on round, what I've done, I've pushed this track here, get my fingers in right in the video, there we go. I've put this track, I've pushed it up against the wood so that I've got the correct spacing around here. Now if I just pull that away a little bit, because obviously there will be pico edging to go on and that sort of thing, but it doesn't change the geometry of that track stays just as it was. So then I can literally pin this track, once I've put the cork down, pin this track in position, fit the edging to this board here, and then slide this board back in that direction towards the track and recheck it using a loco. So if I take my two locos here, and we'll go from above, so we're looking at the tightest possible part of the curve. So we've got the overhang on the EWS loco, and we've got a gap there to the GBRF one, and if I follow that around the curve, trying to keep the camera on it, you can see that that gap stays constant all the way around, and two passing locos of this length will not touch. And then obviously as we come towards the straighter part, I've gradually closed up the gap so that when they get to this point here, two tracks are actually running at the correct spacing for the pico gauge, and the two locos are correct there. So the next job now is to mark where this track is, lay the cork, fit that track, fit the pico edging here, and then cut this board to the correct width for this platform, and that will be that bit done. So we know where we are. We'll move on to the next bit. So with the second road of cork now in place, I can drop the track in, and we'll have that one running. Okay, so now I've cut the island platform. By the time the two sides are on, bear in mind there's going to be a side on there as well, side on there, and that will give us the island platform going through, and then I can just sort out the two ends, and we're nearly there. It's getting there now. Next job would be to paint that island platform so that I can then put the edging on probably tomorrow now, because it's Sunday afternoon and I'm going to go and have a sit down in a minute. So I'll give that a coat of paint, and then tomorrow I can fit that in place and fit the edgings on. So there we go, a coat of grey paint on there, so just the edging will go on tomorrow now once that's dry, and we can then move on to laying the tracks this side of the island platform. Not sure whether I'm going to use the island platform or whether I might put a walling along the edge to make it just a two-row platform yet. So the jury's out on that one at the moment. We'll make a decision at future days on that. But that's enough for today. So there we go.